Hey y'all, welcome back to Right at the Wire. Well, it's Cal Cup Day at Santa Anita, and there's a nice late pick five with a series of stakes races that offers some nice opportunities for us. So let's get into it. So this is the late pick five on Cal Cup Day at Santa Anita, and it comprises races 5 through 9, of which we've got a couple of stakes in it. So this is a good day. Uh, it's an interesting field in the Cal Cup Oaks. The first leg, it's a 200,000 ungraded stakes, running a mile on the turf for 3-year-old fillies. It's not often that sires make that much of an impact other than maybe in maidens. But if you look at this race, a lot of these are by Pavel. And Pavel is not the greatest of turf sires. And so it's kind of interesting from that perspective, as the case is with many California races, that this is a fairly evenly matched field. So there are a number of different ways to go. What we what I was looking at is upside because they're 3-year-olds, and of those, I think Grand Slam Smile, being by Smiling Tiger, and also just in the look of the way this horse has been running, I think she is the one that is most likely to advance forward in this race. She's beaten quite a few of these and did so in a way that tells me if she moves to turf, it's not going to be a problem. And I think is a logical win candidate in this field. Prancing Through Paris is another one that just came off a career high, albeit on synthetic. But this one is by Sir Prancelot, who's a good turf sire, and I think he's going to take the grass. I don't think the distance is going to be a problem. And this is another one I think, again, with upside, and that I think we ought to include in the mix. This is definitely a spread race. Asada Fries is very logical, but not in such a way that he just doesn't tower over this field in any way. I think he's going back to his preferred surface. That's what I like more than anything else. Last time on dirt, ran a good race, but clearly looks more comfortable on turf. So we'll include Asada Fries. Sushi Sticks definitely could move forward facing the boys last time, and I think that's a pretty good indication of what they think of this horse. Being by Rapoli Stables, Mike McCarty's a good trainer. This one, Santa Anita is usually, the turf course tends to be a little on the speed favoring side, so might be up against it coming from off the pace, but I think it's likely that this one is going to move forward, and if so, should be in the mix late, and definitely one to consider. We'll just talk about a couple of the ones that we're not considering. Putt for Dough has never progressed. That's it. Your horse just isn't moving any farther, and to me looks a little overmatched. Just a cut below the better horses in here. Madison Ray won last time and has some talent and is kind of versatile, which I sort of like, but I don't think on turf is necessarily her best surface. And, has some grit and whatnot. I just kind of like others better. Petit Filet has a multitude of chances to win and just doesn't. The last race really had absolutely no excuses and could not get by Madison Ray. There was a little bumping in the stretch, but I don't think it was enough that we could say it was a valid excuse. So it really got turned off by watching that race. Good luck figuring out what to do with Recalcitrant. This one certainly showed some talent early, but in the last race, with a lot of these in the field, got off to a quick lead as she's wanting to do, and then just dropped right out of the race. Now, could she rebound and run a better race? Certainly. And if so, it could likely be on the engine all by herself, and it's entirely possible she could wire the field, but it's just not enough there to get me excited. And again, this is another one by Pavel, not the greatest of turf sires. So we're going to stick with Grand Slam Smile, I think is the logical one to pick here, but we can throw in Asada Fries, Prancing Through Paris, and Sushi Sticks as ones that have upside and are by good turf sires. And I think, oddly enough, it doesn't happen too often. But in this race, I think that's going to make a big difference. Leg 2 is the 6th race. It's an optional claimer for 20,000. Non-winners at 2 lifetime. Run at 6.5 furlongs for 4-year-olds and up, Cal-breds. And to me, this race is pretty simple. El Rey Dorado looked up pretty good to me in the last race. Showed some good grit in similar class, and isn't really going to have any challenges for the lead in this race. You can see there's a lot of horses who like to run off the pace. And I think it's a pretty good bet that El Rey Dorado is going to be all alone on the lead. And if he runs like he did in the last one, he's going to win this race. Bags Gold is the only one who kind of wants to challenge, but I haven't been impressed with what I've seen from him at all. And I think he's a major underlay at 3-1. He just never seems to have enough in the stretch. And if you look at the rest of them, Buck Owens would probably be and Minister Shane are two of the better late runners. But again, they're late runners at Santa Anita in a sprint that favors early speed heavily, and you've got an uncontested leader. So Minister Shane, could he certainly have a chance, but he'd need a major a pace breakdown, I think, to run his best. Under is certainly more likely, I think. Buck Owens, same thing. Buck Owens just doesn't run enough early to get in the mix. Now, the one I think has a potential here to upset the apple cart is Crypto Ride. I think this one shows signs of being ready to progress and move forward. And at 8-1, I think you got a good price. Probably going to have to get up near the lead more so than he has been doing. But with horses moving forward and on the improve, that's entirely possible. So at 8-1, you're getting a pretty good price. So to me, this is a 2-horse race. El Rey Dorado is going to be awful tough to beat on the front end, but Crypto Ride does have the upside that you're looking for in a race like this, and I think has a really good chance, provided change tactically, runs a little closer to the lead, might have a chance to run down El Rey Dorado, but I think it's going to be a tall order to do that. Leg 3 is the 7th race. It's the Sunshine Millions Filly and Mare Turf Sprint. It's ungraded at 150,000, run at 6.5 furlongs on the hillside turf. And as we know, for 4-year-olds and up fillies and mares, Cal-breds. But the most important thing with this race is experience over the hillside turf course, because it is a very unique track. And it has some interesting twists and turns literally in it. It plays more like a mile, so horses that have that little extra stamina and history over the turf course, you definitely have to take seriously. Now, we'll look at some of the, there's some ones that jump off the screen when you look at them, like Chancery Way, and certainly hard to knock this one's record coming from Golden Gate. But the thing is, this one has never run over the turf course and is coming from the 8-hole, which isn't a bad place to be. But I really think the fact that this one hasn't run over the turf course is really going to be a problem. The other thing is, it doesn't really display that mile type of stamina that's necessary to be effective on the hillside turf course. It's going to have some company up front from Unwritten Code, who I don't think is just not fast enough. And perhaps some from Medea, depending upon what she does. You could go either way. But ultimately, from the front end, I don't think there's one here that necessarily can wire this field. More importantly, the fact that you've got Stay and Scam, who has experience over the track and a win, will be right on their throat latch and is in a really good position in the 6-hole. Should be able to get exactly to where she wants to go. The only question I have with Stay and Scam is that you may get a regression off of that top number, but looks in pretty good form right now, and I think is awful hard to beat. Tam's Little Angel, I don't think necessarily can factor to the point of winning this race, but I think is shown enough on the hillside course that with a little extra effort, can maybe get underneath for a slice, and that's what the asterisk means. At 12-1, I think you need value for underneath in the exotics. Don't see as a legitimate win candidate, but one you could certainly think about. Medea is another one coming into this race in good form, peaking, but I'm not sure that the top end is necessarily there to win this. Should be within the confines of the race, should be competing, but you can't like the one hole from the Hillside Turf Course. It's a really bad place to be. It's very easy to get shuffled back. So Medea doesn't necessarily want to be on the lead, so it's going to have to hustle a little bit early, and I think that may compromise the chances in what's a fairly balanced field. So Medea, I think you can include if you want to, but I really don't like her chances very much in this race, just tactically. Rose Maddox, I think, is very logical, has been beaten a lot of these, and has familiarity over the turf course, has a couple of strong efforts, and I think makes a lot of sense here. Is in the 2-hole, a little to the inside, but I think Flavian Pratt makes up for that and shouldn't be a problem to get where she wants to go, and should be a win candidate here. Rose Dawson is more, I think, likely to be underneath. I haven't seen enough to tell me that she is a serious win candidate, but she's trained by Phil D'Amato, and that's enough for me to throw into the mix. Has some experience over the downhill course, but I think is more likely to be under. So that's, again, what the asterisk means. Now, if you want to, there is because we've got a likely single in the next race, you can go spread a little bit in this race if you want to, and maybe throw in Medea. But to me, it's the 2 or the 6, Rose Maddox or Stay and Scam, and probably have a little bit of a preference towards Stay and Scam, just because should be up near the leaders, maybe gets first jump on Rose Maddox and some of the others. But I think it's when looking at this, just keep in mind, history over the Hillside Turf Course, I think, is the prime determinant on who you want to select. Leg 4 is the 8th race. It's the Cal Cup Sprint Stakes, ungraded at 150,000, run at 6 furlongs for 4-year-olds and up, and this is a pretty short conversation. The Chosen Vron all the way. There's really, Brickyard Ride is really the only one I think could perhaps provide some kind of a challenge, but at 7 years old, he's kind of lost a step, and there is going to be a little bit of pressure from Principe Carlo, not enough probably to bother Brickyard Ride, but I don't think it necessarily has the top end in this race to take it down. The others just aren't good enough. That's it. Bottom line to it. Chosen Vron, I thought, ran a very credible race in the Breeders' Cup and came right back 2 weeks later and won. So I don't think that this race is really, it is for Cal-breds, by the way. Sorry, I didn't include that. I don't think the fact he's open company Cal-breds, it doesn't matter with the Chosen Vron. To me, he's a very easy single and the surest bet of the day. Chosen Vron all the way. The last leg of the late pick 5 is the 9th race. It's the Unusual Heat Turf Classic. It's ungraded at 200,000, running 1 1/8 on the turf for 4-year-olds and up. And again, I'm sorry, that should say Cal-breds. This is a very interesting race to me, in that we've got 2 horses who are probably the prime win candidates, who both want to do exactly the same thing, and that's be on the lead. Bally's Charm hasn't done anything wrong, has won at this distance before, and I think that's important to note, and really just has a ton of early lick. I mean, you look at those races, never slows it down or tries to, just goes all out and has enough in the tank to finish off the job. Now, I think that's important for one big reason. Kings River Knight is certainly a win machine and has never been out of the exotics or the exacta except one time, and that was at 1 1/8. And if you go back and watch that race, I believe it was on January 7th, you'll see a horse that, it was this race, as a matter of fact, last year. You see a horse that had everything his way, no excuses whatsoever, and just didn't have enough in the stretch. Have to believe that a mile and an eighth is probably a little too far. And if that's the case, you have to think Bally's Charm will certainly benefit from that because he can go a mile and an eighth. And particularly if Kings River Knight is asked to keep up, then that's going to sap a lot of energy. And this horse needs all that he can get for a mile and an eighth. If you look at his work pattern in particular, you'll notice they've been throwing 5 and 6 furlong works into this one to build up his stamina. So that tells me they're clearly concerned about whether or not he can go that far. Can Kings River Knight win this race? He's classy enough. He certainly has the talent. So, yeah, the answer is yes. However, tactically, I think there's a lot of things working against him. And the fact that Bally's Charm is in this race really compromises his position to win. So what does that mean for us? It means there's value available, in my opinion. Because if it's not Bally's Charm, you got some other horses in here that are kind of interesting. In particular, Catalina Eddie. Now, he just ran in a sprint at 6.5 furlongs. And if you notice when you watch it, he was pretty keen and just off the leader for most of that race before backing up late. So I think he was a little short for that race in anticipation of this one, coming in second off the layoff. Now, I don't know if he has the top end necessarily to win this race, but he may not need it because if there's Bally's Charm and Kings River Knight knock heads on the front end, and maybe Silent Heat gets a little aggressive just because he doesn't really have a chance. Now you've got a situation where Catalina Eddie could be right there and benefit from it. And at 20-1, you're getting some really nice value. So I think Catalina Eddie has some upside, and I think is one that you want to consider. Passarondo is kind of the similar type of situation. At 4 years old, came off a career high off the bench at 4, which is something you always want to see, and may get a favorable pace scenario late. So Passarondo at 15-1, some nice value to think about. Carmelita's Man is very logical. Again, this should have everything that he wants to run his best race. I'm just not sure this one can get up on top and win it. But again, the scenario may be favorable, and of the closers, I think probably has the most backlash to tell me he's the most likely winner. Alligato is a horse you have to love, but there's an asterisk by this name for a reason. He just doesn't win. Because he breaks slow and he doesn't have enough to early on to get himself in a position where he has a shot at Santa Anita. Now, he could very well get up into the money. There's no doubt about it. But this horse just doesn't appear tactically like any scenario would give him the opportunity to win. He'll be coming late. There's no doubt about it. But you just can't get past the fact that this horse just doesn't win. So looking at this race, I think there's value to be had, and I think you absolutely have to include some of it on your tickets. And mainly, I'm looking at the horses with upside, and that's Catalina Eddie and Passarondo if the chalk falls short because they knock each other out with a pace stool. So it's an interesting race. I don't think it's quite as clear-cut as it may appear, and I think it's a race that, because you can single the Chosen Vron, you can spread in this one, and I think with any luck, you can get a nice price in this one, make for a nice score in the pick 5. So here's what our ticket looks like for the Cal Cup Late Pick 5. Leg 1, the first race, race 5. We're going to spread with 2, 4, 5, and 9, as we mentioned. I think there's 2 races in here that are the bookends, the first and the last, where I think there's you need to spread, and luckily the races in the middle are going to allow us to do that. So we're going to go 2, 4, 5, 9 in race 5, leg 1. Leg 2, race 6. Basically, it's a 2-horse race to me. It's the 4 or the 5, and You could even uh, you could consider singling there if you want to, but why I don't I think the ticket price is very reasonable, so I think you can be safe and go with two. Leg three, race seven, kind of the same thing. I think it's either the two or the six, uh, and just hope we get the one with the best value to come home because in leg four, race eight, it's the chosen Vron, the two. I can't see anybody beating him, and I just it's one of those cases that it's the price sucks, but this horse is just too good in this spot, and running against Cal-breds when he's very effective against open company makes him a really logical single. And then in leg five, race nine, as we mentioned, I think it's a definite spread race, and given the fact that you've got two horses who want to do the same thing on the front end. So we're going to spread with 2, 3, 5, 8, and 9, and hopefully we can get some value home. So as you can see, it's 4 times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 5 is 90. It's a $45 ticket on a 50-cent base, and that's great. We can keep our price nice and reasonable. Hopefully if we can get some value home in the first leg and the last one, it makes for a nice score in the pick five. So that's the late pick five, and I think the chosen Vron gives us some nice opportunity to spread in some of the other races and got a really good chance of taking it down, I think. Just got to hope some of the horses cooperate and we get some value across the line, but I think it's certainly possible. A lot of these state bred races tend to be pretty balanced and evenly matched, so a lot of times you can get some prices, so we'll just hope for that. I hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy as always, and we'll wish you the best of luck. And of course, if you do like content like this, please like and subscribe. And thanks to all of you who've recently joined on. We appreciate it. We'll have some more postings as we move along. We got Lecomte weekend coming up. Looking forward to that. I'm sure you are as well. So be on the lookout for more from us. That's it from here. I'll talk to you soon. And until then, be well.